Hello legends, how we doing? So we've got this, haven't we? We've got these Afghan teens, 17-year-olds jailed. I'm just going to use the word assaulting, folks, for obvious reasons. You know the platform we're on. Of course, this is going to cause a lot of upset, quite rightly so. What else we got in today's program? Oh yeah, we've got this chap here who I used to idolise as a teenager back when I was a mod. I'm grateful to receive my Mickey Mouse procedure. He was saying back in the day, and today it's in the papers. The Who rocker Sir Roger Daltrey is awarded his knighthood by the Prince of Wales after gushing he was deeply honoured to be recognised. Where's all this leading to? If you're a good boy for the cabal, you'll get all your rewards, all your material world's rewards in this realm, but you'll sell your soul and you'll lose everything. Let's get into it. Hello friends, how we doing? I hope this finds you phenomenal. Could I please ask you to check if you're liked and subscribed before I go any further? If I forget, then we don't get any subscribers. It's that simple. Right, so I'm going to whip through this today. This is, awful headline. If any of you have seen that video, the clip that's been doing the rounds of them leading this young girl away, you're equal, even more disturbing is what I'm trying to say. And we've got Rupert Lowe here, MP, seems to be speaking out about it. He's highlighting the illegal migrant. I'm not going to say that word. I just say assaults, folks. Otherwise, it causes problems on the platform. He was heckled and abused in Parliament whilst highlighting that this was going on in an almost empty Parliament chamber last night. Why would that be empty? Why would the people that's supposed to lead you and look after your welfare not be bothered about the fact that statistically there's a higher percentage of, can we say, our foreign friends? Friends probably not the right word, but you understand what I'm saying. In fact, I actually looked it up. Statistically, here we go. Just to give us an idea, responsible for 26% of the assaults against women. And I asked here, what is the percentage of the foreign national population in the UK? And it says it's 16% there. Why would they not be interested in Parliament? Because they're all bought and paid for, folks. The money supply's corrupted everybody. They think they're above you. They don't care about this because they don't, in their country houses, they don't have to put up with this. To them, it's a no-show. So it's left for people like us to flag this up and try and make sense of it. Now, this is important. In addition, there's another chap here. Look, Afghan national charged with yada, 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 2 14-year-olds in Bolton. Why does this happen? Well, any of you been in the tribal regions in the east? I'm not going to say the names of places, folks, because I'm not trying to spread, maliciousness or anything. I'm just saying, when you've driven to India and back, you drive through such territories and you see things that to our way of life, as in a white British person or someone that's born here and buys into this community and its values, we would find abhorrent. I'm talking, youngsters. The fact that when you're brought up from birth to never see a female naked, and if you do, she's a slag that deserves being stoned to death. You can see the mindset, and this is not a criticism. If you want to do that, I'm not going to say it's fine, but that's your country, isn't it? You can't just sit back and say, well, that's absolutely fine here, because if we don't let this go ahead, then we're racist. And this is the indoctrination through the schooling system. Now it gets more complicated because a lot of people are jumping on the immigration bandwagon at the moment, but let's be honest, there's very few really know what's behind it. Hey, if you're one of those, we need to look back in history. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but this was a triumvirate. This was a union that was agreed upon about 200 years ago now between this chap Jakob Frank, who led a cult founded on Judaism. Or fueled, its members came from that ethno-religion, and they believed in redemption through sin. They were called the Sabbatean Frankists, after their predecessor SexuaIIy. Sabbatai meaning Saturn. Right? We'll come on and look at a bit at Saturn worship. And they went into partnership with Adam Weishaupt, who many of you know founded the Bavarian Illuminati, the secret society, the enlightened ones, or the torchbearers. And they went into partnership with a certain family whose name begins with R, the European banking aristocracy, for want of a better word. And they decided, look, let's just completely, in order to bring around the new Messiah, the new world order, which is all this ancient doctrine that these mentalists believe in. They're looking for their new Jerusalem when they resurrect the temple of Sol-e-Mun, which means sun and moon, by the way, which is a reference to your pineal and your pituitary. Nothing to do with a bloke, who lived, who never lived in history, and that's what they're pushing for. And the Sabbateans are responsible for all this debauchery. You see, they want to destroy the family unit. They're pushing the transgender. They're the ones behind the nudge unit, the Tavistock Institute, basically ushering in the communist agenda, as we saw coming through Russia with the Bolsheviks back in the day. Then we've got this chap, Adam Weishaupt. They're the ones doing all this silly symbolism, which is why you see the number 33 everywhere. They're communicating in a language that they think you're too thick to understand. Sadly, a lot of people are oblivious to it. They wouldn't even have a clue what numerology meant, especially if it coincided with Strictly Come Dancing. No judgment on them. I don't think I'd ever would have watched Strictly, but I certainly was in that, I was in that group in my youth. And this lot here, they funded a fiefdom in the east. It's a small stolen land that was invaded, that had Arabs living in it quite peacefully. And they stole that land, didn't they, to make it their fiefdom, with which to hide behind for their new world order and push their new world order and have a significant foothold in the east, in the oil countries. And if we now go to David Icke, he's going to explain why, before we go getting too upset at Afghans and boats and all that, which is understandable, why it's really important we understand why are we seeing this. So let me just find that that clip. I think it was this one there. Sit back, relax, kick your shoes off, grab some popcorn. No, don't do that, because I'm going to play it right now. Pretend to grab some virtual popcorn, which I might actually start selling. Can you sell virtual popcorn? Thank you to Michael Olsen in the chat, who's chucked in 100 Danish crowns. Thank you so much, Michael. That's really kind of you. I'm glad that you're supporting the channel, mate. Thank you. Right, let's watch this.
Migrants, unchecked, undocumented, who are illegally entering the country. So here you have a situation where the guy who basically started the really mass immigration is the same guy, there's your problem, the same guy that's offering the solution of a digital ID. So that's one level of it. Another is even more profound, in the sense of you've got to go to Israel and look at the belief system, the kind of religious belief system that the extremists there have, which is that their Messiah's coming, who will rule the world from Jerusalem. And in their sequence, before the Messiah can come, Edom, as they call it, in other words, the West, has to be brought to its knees. And it's interesting, some of these extremist rabbis who are parroting this crap have said that Donald Trump is a hero to them because he is systematically destroying the United States.
So I'll leave it there, folks, so we don't get bored. So basically what David's summing up there is the Sabbatean plan, that you've heard it referred to as New World Order. What I should have pointed out, if we can just go back to our culprits here, is these people have never been near a land, folks, in the Middle East. All right, these guys would have come off come out of Turkey, or dare I say a place called Khazaria. Hence, you might hear that term linked with the word mafia, which is now what we see, funnily enough, as modern day Ukraine. So none of these guys give a whatnot about being chosen this, that, or the other, as in the biblical narrative, which, as we all know, is an allegory anyway, as in it's a story about what goes on inside your body. We're going to come on and look at that, as opposed to a history book and a geography book about what goes on outside of you. So David's saying there that their New World Order plan, funded by the likes of Soros, who pretends he's nothing to do with Israel, and their puppet Tony Blair with the digital ID, who opened the borders during his premiership. So he opened the borders. He was their puppet for this massive illegal conflict in the Middle East for 20 years, which flooded the West with migrants. And they're flooding the West in order to sweep the broom, to have this big, massive punch-up between Christendom, I believe it's called, and Islam, whilst at the same time coffeeing out I've termed that expression, I've coined that expression, coughing out the indigenous white population, because, you know, when you put coffee into milk, you never can get that colour of milk back again. This is them bringing around the conditions for the return of their Messiah. Yes, it's all mental. Don't try to understand it. It will drive you insane. But yeah, just wanted to get back to that. So, in addition, it's not just the boats, is it? This was in the Telegraph this week. If you're somebody of low intelligence from a tribe in the East, you're desperate for your new life in the UK. I'll tell you a quick story. You know, I wrote my book there, Eat and Smoke, about the time I was... There we go. It's like dyslexic or something. About the time I was chronically addicted to crystal meth, homeless and mentally unwell on the streets of Hong Kong, whilst working for the 14K Triads as their nightclub doorman. In that book, you'll remember a line when I was chatting to Anil, who was the son of the Indian guy who rented me that really old crummy apartment on the top floor of that old tenement building. And Anil was a teenager, and he just said to me one day, Mr. Chris, is it true if I come to England and I don't want to work, they will pay me money? I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, kind of, you see. So you're a young guy from the East coming here, you're desperate to get across that channel, and then some gang member says, right, swallow this, or shove this where the sun don't shine, or just stick it in your pocket. You know, there's going to be a guy at the other side. What are you going to do? You know? Remember, we're not talking about the brightest sparks in the box here, folks, and that old scam gets the bright ones as well, doesn't it? So, there we go. So this is why no one's coming to save you, least not of which this guy or these guys. These are guys pretending that they're going to address the migrant issue. This chap on the left here, he's basically, from what I understand, in love with Marine Le Pen, the French far-right party leader, and he's due to usurp her now and get a shot at French Parliament because she's been in some legal troubles. So you think, oh, great, you know. Well, I mean, I don't know if far-right nationalists. I don't know if that's great that they're getting in power. It's sad, it's certainly sad times. But okay, so you think they're patriots, and that this guy on the right's a patriot too. Until you find out that they all support the small stolen state, the fiefdom of the very... Well, look at that. National Rally leader heads to the small stolen place, a first for French far-right party. As Jordan Bardella, its young president, tries to distance the party from its history, I'm just going to say, of that stupid gaslighting word that nobody's falling for anymore. It is making common cause with the small place against Islamist ideology. So now you can see remember what David said, they want this big ruckus between Christianity, which they created off the back of the empire, Roman Empire. Remember, when the empire pulled back, they still got to control people. But they don't want enlightened people like you and me, or hopefully you're on that kick. They want indoctrinated, controlled people that believe that Jesus is on the outside, and that if you nail him to a wall and start doing this, taking your power the power of God, taking it out of you and literally throwing it away, as the masses do, then, then that's a good deal. At the same time, they've got the other lot from the East, all boiling for a scrap. So this, if you want to stop those black rubber things, this is the stuff we need to be getting our heads around. But better still, I would start with the spiritual awakening, folks. I'll come on to that in a bit. Could we get some likes and subscribes, friends? That'd be awesome. And can I just shout out now that we have got, I believe it's 2 or maybe 3 places left on our Arctic Legends trip. So if you want to come to the Arctic with me in March, first week of March, for some skiing and survival, don't worry if you're a novice, we'll train you up on everything. Send me an email via my website there. There it is, christhrall.com. And let's get that on. And if you need to, if you're getting middle-aged and you're like, I haven't really done all those. No, you probably haven't, because that's what happens to people in the Matrix. So they wake up one day and went, do you know what? I chased that shit job that I didn't even like, and the boss didn't even like me even more. Now I'm fat and middle-aged, and I fucked it all up, Chris, haven't I? Yes. Basically, because you were afraid of opportunity, and you always put excuses in. Well, I can't do that because, I can't. Rather than my attitude across 86 countries on all 7 continents is, I'm absolutely going to do that because. See the difference? So if you fancy that, folks, girls, if you're up for it, send me a mail too, because we're doing a trip next year. Okay, so sorry, getting back to it. Some people are starting to get it, but let's be honest, this is just the fringe. Let's see what this guy's saying.
In this house 20 years, I have supported Israel pretty much at all costs, quite frankly. But today, I want to say that I got it wrong. And I condemn Israel for what it is doing to the Palestinian people in Gaza and indeed in the West Bank. And I'd like to withdraw my support right now for the actions of Israel, what they are doing right now.
What a brave man. Doesn't quite get it though, does he, to the extent that we do? But, it's a personal victory for him. Right, do you remember what I said about the Sabbatean Frankists? Their motto is redemption through sin. They believe that if you can't be good, that's this lot, by the way, under Jakob Frank, they believe if you can't be good, be bad. And let's just remember, for their new Messiah to come, these mentalists, they've got to destroy everything that's good. And how are they doing it? How are they destroying young men, vulnerable men? Doing it through porn, aren't they? Amongst other things, the drugs as well, and the photons coming from the television set. And that's why you're seeing all this stuff. I've got to be careful what I show here. All this Bonnie Blue stuff. I don't know about you. I find this so sad, really. Her claim to fame is sleeping with 1,057, tragically lost geezers in 12 hours, and she gloats, you might not know me, but your husband will. So this is some, this is someone who's being used. He's going to get 5 minutes of fame and then have to look back and, I don't know, maybe have regrets. We shouldn't do that, by the way, but she's been used, isn't she? There's a reason why the pornographers were kicked out of Germany. There's a reason why they set up in Hollywood. Hollywood as in the wood used to make magic wands. Remember, this lot, they believe in the dark one, not the chap who sits on a cloud with a wispy white beard knocking up stone tablets and virgins. Not that one. They go for the other one, right? So they love this stuff. She's gone a step far, though. I would never call anybody by this name, by the way. She's just a lost young woman, I would say. I know she'd argue and say, no, I'm not, Chris. I'm absolutely in control. Well, finding paradise, it doesn't work like that. But she's been arrested in Bali. And I noticed somewhere else, she's now got copycat, she's now got, I know there's a rumour saying that she's a dude. She's now got copycat people cropping up, which is just really sad. Then we got this more sideshow. Remember what the chap on the left did during the scam? How he absolutely imprisoned his nation. Was once a beautiful country, Canada, and playing his role for the cabal. And there's matey girl on the left. I'm surprised she can find time to go out with Justin Trudeau. What with all her obligations up there in space, but I just thought I'd mention that. It's not all part of the sideshow, right? So, what is the solution? Because we're not a fear-based podcast, folks. We don't do the old clickbait. Oh, what the Muslims are doing this week and the boats and all of that. We try to make sense of it so people actually understand what's going on. It's fair to say, you look at the other channels, what do? They all stop at Keir Starmer. It's the government. I think we've ascertained, haven't we? It's way deeper than that. Now, what they want to do, what they've done through their control religion, is they've got the masses to externalize God. I use the word God. Use what you want, folks. I usually use the word universe, don't I? The eternal energy. I prefer the Star Wars analogy, the Force. And what they've done is they've convinced people that Christ is a historical person. Now, I'm not suggesting that Yeshua or Yahshua, Joshua, never lived or whatever. I'm saying that's not the purpose of this exercise. This exercise is to forget that the divine I is at the center of every being, the living presence of God expressing as you. How do you find that out? Easily. Practice your meditation. You don't have to do chanting and all that, but just be quiet and shut out the noise. Thought comes in your head, let it go. Or you can fast, or quick cheat, you can do breathing. Look, watch. Breathe out. All the way out. Then clench your power buttons, fingers, and when you've done that, shake the air around in your upper self. Put your arms down. If you start your day like this, when you're in this blissful moment like you can see I am in now, then you remember, turn off that noise of society. Nothing is that important that you need to not enter paradise, folks. This is the way that you do it. In that moment, you've bypassed this mere shell, this experiential machine, and you've gone straight to source. You are everything. You can be everything. You've been here for eternity. You'll be here. You've been here from time immemorial. You'll be here to eternity. You are literally the manifestation of the divine energy source. That's it. Everything's perfect. Now you know that. Do you know the bonus? Can't die, can you? Can't die when you're God or a manifestation of him. And isn't that bloody lovely? That means all your loved ones that this mental lot told you had to mourn because they was no longer with you, actually, they haven't gone anywhere, have they? You know? But I'll tell you a beautiful little story. I was laying some concrete with my son. He was only about 6 or 7 at the time. As we were laying this concrete, a leaf blew over our work. And he looked at it and turned to me and he said, "Oh, look, Daddy, there goes Grandad." How beautiful, how beautiful. So what they've done, the merchants, when their empires fail, they leave behind this control mechanism called organized religion so that people go to a box every week, take all their personal power, throw it away, thinking that that's doing them good. And then they go home and realise, do you know what? I'm just as miserable as before I went. I've lost it, haven't I? Yes. Because all of this is internal. All scripture is internal. It's nothing about casting it out. And when you learn that, then you can go, and instantly you're in nirvana. That's it. I tell you this in all honesty. If I came home tomorrow, my house was in rubble because, a NASA rocket had come and landed on it like they do when they crash back down to Earth. I'd just be like, oh well, family's all right. Let's move on. Literally that. Nothing to be gained by letting the material control you. Folks, can we like and subscribe? That'd be awesome. Humanity turned the messenger into an object of worship and lost the message. The Christ is within. It's your serotonin, it's your DMT, it's your 7 energy centers, your endocrine glands firing up and allowing you to experience the divine version of yourself, not the matrix controlled version. I'll show you that in picture form. There's our picture. Look, we've got the masses there. They're asleep. They won't be watching a podcast like this, will they? They would have switched off a long time ago because their time's not ready, and that's fine. Your job is not to change them. Your job is to connect yourself. Then you've got your awake people here. They think they know everything, don't they, those awake? Always sending people videos. I get hundreds. They have no idea of solution-based approach because they're still angry. Why are they angry? Because the injustice they're seeing in society is the same injustice they experienced as a child, called childhood trauma. On that note, see what I did then? That's a nice segue into thanking everyone who's chipped in a $5 for my upcoming Mount Everest summit. Friends, it's going to cost me 35 grand. I have to borrow all of that because I don't have money, folks, right? Which is fine by me because, universe will provide. But you kind guys have chipped in some money to help me not only shine a light for struggling veterans by using my story. I was that guy there with the guitar, folks, in Hong Kong. It wasn't pretty. My family cried and they couldn't, they just, when I got back, I met my dad at Heathrow. The look on his face was just abject horror. I went out there, a 13.5 stone bodybuilder. I came back 9 stone, chronically mentally unwell. I was that guy that talked to himself, So I'm using my story that there's always light after trauma. And also I'm going to be shouting from the roof of the world that why are we not talking about childhood trauma when we're in a veteran suicide epidemic? Why is no one talking about it? Clearly, adverse childhood experiences dictate to a great degree your mental health in later life. Add to that the sort of incredibly crazy situation of being in the forces and what that does to someone who's got low self-esteem, then has to leave that force and try and make it in the real world when no one really cares that you wore a funny coloured hat, don't even know like difference between the Marines and the Army, right? This is why we're losing people. It's an egoic trap that we're allowing blokes and the occasional woman, but majority blokes to fall into. So if you can chip in a £5, folks, come on. It's Christmas. It's the season of goodwill. And if you put out that energy, you will get it back tenfold. That's why I've travelled to 86 countries across all 7 continents, pilot, skydiver, advanced scuba diver, Antarctic explorer, run across the Sahara Desert, ran the length of the United Kingdom, written 6 books, one of them an international bestseller, have the best podcast on the internet, yada, 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 is because I understand. Never say no to opportunity because you're shutting your energy off. So there you go, folks. It's a £5. If you're absolutely brassic, I'm not trying to get you in financial difficulty, so you just go and enjoy your Christmas, my friend. So there we go. So coming back to this one, let's do a few more and then we're going to go to locals, folks. I'm going to locals for my local supporters. This will be a stream for the people that very kindly pay £3 a month over there to help me run the channel. And also on that note, I should thank everyone who's a YouTube member. Remember, I couldn't do this without you, and thank you for putting your money where your mouth is. I appreciate it. So for 2,000 years we repeated the name Christ whilst missing the silence from which the name arises. You know how to do the silence now. Stop praying to a God out there. Rest in the realized truth that the Father is the I that you are. Moses went up on the mountain, which is just an allegory for your pineal gland in meditation. God, the eternal energy, spoke to him and he said, God, how can I tell these reprobates like that I've spoken to you? And he said, just go and say, I am that I am, meaning I am God. So there you go. So let's take this last one. We'll take the rest over on locals, folks. The entire spiritual path is the gentle dissolution of personal sense. It's called getting over yourself and your materialistic, 5 sense driven ego existence. The end of the belief that you are a separate person living a private life, and the rising of the Christ, or the sacred secretion, the Christos, the Christ oil within you. And quite appropriate that we're at Christmas, isn't it? Because Santa Claus stands for your colostrum, which creates this oil every month, which then comes down your spine, rises, is crucified in your skull. A place called Jesus was crucified in Golgotha, wasn't he? The place of the skull. Crucified means to fortify, folks, to make stronger, not to kill and destroy. And as a result, you get your pineal and your pituitary absolutely firing, and you live in paradise on earth, or the land of milk and honey, serotonin and DMT. Really important that we know this. So Santa Claus, when he's coming down the chimney and then going up to leave you a present, now you know the origin of that story. Mental, isn't it? It's mentful. And here we go. I'm just going to finish on this one. This is talking about fasting, which we were all brainwashed to believe was abhorrent. What, you can go without food? Yeah, my first fast was 17 days. And you're never going to get closer to spirit. Let's have a look.
Day. Please, that's not nature. That's Rockefeller marketing. Our ancestors didn't sit around with breakfast, lunch, and dinner neatly served. They ate once a day, sometimes 3 times a week. That was abundance. And you know what? They thrived. They were lean, sharp, and strong because the body is designed to function best in fasting. You ever wonder why you heal in your sleep? Because you're fasting. The body finally gets to stop wasting energy digesting junk and starts repairing, rebuilding, cleaning house. That's when the real work gets done. But you've been programmed. You think skipping breakfast is a crime. You think hunger is an emergency. No, it's power.
There we go. I'll leave it there. I'll talk more about this over on Locals, folks. But that's, get over your food thing. If you stuff yourself 3 times a day, every day of your life, you're never going to know. There's a significant chance you're never going to know your true nature, who you are. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Massive thank you again to Michael for chipping in 100 crowns. Really appreciate that, brother. Thank you. And if you can like and subscribe, let me know if you want to come to the Arctic in the first week of March. And thanks to everyone that supported me. YouTube, Patreon, Locals, and Buy Me a Coffee. And I'm going to... That's unusual. Me doing one sneeze. Right, let's go over to Locals. And if you can like and subscribe, that would be awesome. I think I've said that before, haven't I? Much love.
Morning legends, I'm Chris Thrall. I'm a former Royal Marines commando. Upon leaving the forces, ended up chronically mentally unwell, self-medicating, undiagnosed trauma and homeless on the streets of Hong Kong. It was the toughest battle I ever had to fight, but without the support of the medical community, without self-help groups, I learned the answers to rebuild my life, go on to complete a series of extreme charity challenges to send a vital message out there for other veterans who are struggling. I've run the length of the United Kingdom, run across the Sahara Desert, rode across the Atlantic Ocean. Now I'm taking on my biggest challenge yet, climbing Mount Everest. If you can support me, friends, and continue to shine a light for our struggling veterans and let them know that it is life after PTSD, I'll put a link below. Can spare a fiver? That's absolutely fine. And let's give our veterans the respect that they deserve. Much love.
No matter